The introduction. The sun was setting behind the hills, casting long shadows over the small village of Kisimba. Children ran barefoot on the dusty paths, while their mothers called them home to dinner. But in the quiet, behind the village square, an old woman watched from her small hut. Her name was Mama Amina, and though she was quiet, everyone knew she was wise. One day, Mama Amina decided to teach the village a lesson they would never forget. She had watched for years as people grew selfish, forgetting the kindness and generosity that used to hold their community together. So she made a plan. Scene 1. The Village of Kisimba. The sun hung low in the sky, painting the village of Kisimba in warm gold. The village was nestled near the foothills of Mount Elgon, a towering mountain that stretched between Kenya and Uganda, providing fertile soil for the people who lived there. Kisimba had grown from a small community into a bustling village, yet something had changed. Mama Amina, a woman known for her wisdom, sat in front of her hut watching the villagers rush past her. Children played under the baobab tree, unaware of the tension rising in their parents' hearts. The village had grown wealthier, but it seemed kindness had grown smaller. As she sat, Mama Amina whispered an old Kikuyu proverb. A man who uses force is afraid of reasoning. Scene 2. A community in need of a test one evening. After hearing complaints from villagers about greed and selfishness, Mama Amina decided it was time for a test. She had seen too much: wealth that made people arrogant, hunger that left the poor helpless, and gossip that divided families. Her eyes sparkled with a plan. It is time they remember the meaning of Ubuntu. I am because we are, she whispered to herself, thinking of the African philosophy of community and interconnectedness. Scene 3. The Disguise. Mama Amina chose an old robe, one tattered and faded from years of wear. She covered her head with a dusty scarf, rubbing ash on her hands and face. She transformed herself into a poor beggar, unrecognizable to even the closest of neighbors. You do not know who you will meet on the road. Treat them all with kindness, she murmured, recalling a proverb from Nigeria's Yoruba people. Scene 4. The Village Square. The Rich Trader. Mama Amina, now looking like a beggar, walked into the village square. Her first stop was the largest house belonging to Kijana, the richest trader in the village. His courtyard was lined with sacks of grain, and his cattle grazed nearby. The wealth of Kisimba had passed through his hands, yet it had hardened his heart. "Good day, sir," Mama Amina said, her voice soft and respectful. "I have traveled a long way. Could you spare a little food or water?" Kijana barely glanced at her. "My food is for my family, not for lazy beggars," he snapped. Mama Amina nodded and turned away. Even the sharpest blade cannot cut its own handle, she thought to herself, remembering a Ghanaian proverb that warned of arrogance. Scene 5. The Market. The Greedy Merchant. Mama Amina's feet led her next to the bustling market. Here Nyota, a well-known merchant, sold colorful fabrics from Tanzania and fragrant spices from Ethiopia. Her stall overflowed with goods, but her heart was cold. "Good day, sister," Mama Amina called to her. "I have nothing to eat. Could you spare a little food?" Nyota's eyes narrowed as she waved her hand dismissively. "If I gave food to every beggar, I would have nothing left. Now go away." Mama Amina left silently, her heart heavy. A tree cannot stand without roots, and a person cannot stand without kindness, she thought, a South African proverb echoing in her mind. Scene 6. The Simple Farmer. Tired, Mama Amina found herself near the fields, where a farmer named Baraka worked hard every day. His house was small, but his heart was large. As Mama Amina approached, Baraka saw her and immediately invited her to sit on a mat. "You look weary, Mother," Baraka said kindly. "Come, share my meal." Mama Amina smiled as Baraka brought out some boiled maize and ugali. Though he had little, he shared without hesitation. It is better to eat a small meal with love than a feast with bitterness, Mama Amina said softly, quoting a Swahili saying. Scene 7. The Generous Family. Walking further, Mama Amina came across the home of Fatuma, a mother with 3 children. Her clothes were worn, and her hands were calloused from work, but her face was gentle. Fatuma welcomed Mama Amina with a smile. "I don't have much, but I can't let you go hungry," Fatuma said, offering her some millet porridge. Her children crowded around, curious but polite. Fatuma's kindness reminded Mama Amina of an Ethiopian saying, "He who learns, teaches." Fatuma was teaching her children the value of generosity. Scene 8. The Festival Announcement. Later that evening, Mama Amina returned to her hut. She sent a messenger to announce a festival in the village square the next day. The villagers gathered in excitement, wondering what was happening. Kijana and Nyota arrived in their finest clothes, thinking the festival was a celebration of wealth. But Mama Amina had other plans. Scene 9. The test is revealed. As the crowd gathered, Mama Amina walked into the square, no longer dressed as a beggar. She stood tall, her voice commanding attention. "Yesterday, I walked among you as a poor woman, asking for food and kindness," she began. "Some of you gave without hesitation, and some of you turned me away. Today, we will see the true wealth of this village." Kijana and Nyota shifted uncomfortably as whispers spread through the crowd. Scene 10. Honoring the generous. Mama Amina called forward Baraka and Fatuma. She praised them for their generosity, their willingness to give even when they had little. She handed each of them a small pouch filled with gold coins. "The wealth of a person is not in how much they have," Mama Amina said, "but in how much they are willing to share." Scene 11. The Shame of the Selfish. Then Mama Amina turned to Kijana and Nyota. "You who have much but gave nothing have learned the price of selfishness. Wealth without kindness is like a tree without roots. It cannot stand." Kijana and Nyota hung their heads in shame as the villagers looked on. Scene 12. The Wisdom of Elders. Mama Amina reminded the village of their ancestors' teachings. "Our elders have always told us, 'He who does not know one thing knows another,' a saying from the Akan people of Ghana. Each of us has something to offer, even if it's only kindness." Scene 13. The Lesson of Ubuntu. The wise woman continued, "We live by Ubuntu. I am because we are. When one of us falls, the whole village must lift them up." She spoke with passion, and the crowd nodded in agreement. The village was learning once again the meaning of community. Scene 14. Transformation begins. From that day, Kisimba began to change. Villagers who had once been greedy started sharing. The children grew up learning the importance of kindness. Kisimba flourished, not because of its wealth, but because its people were united. Scene 15. Mama Amina's final wisdom. Before leaving the square, Mama Amina shared one final proverb. "Wisdom is like fire. People take it from others," a proverb from the Hemba people of the Congo. She smiled as the villagers embraced this new way of life. Scene 16. A Village Reborn. In the days that followed, Kisimba became known far and wide as the village of generosity. Travelers would come and find hospitality and kindness at every corner. Mama Amina's lesson echoed through the generations, reminding everyone that true wealth is measured by the heart